Hey y'all, what's up? Veronica here. Anyways, so we're gonna check out this video with Vladimir Putin. They are actually in having a just some meeting regarding war. Earlier I said something about war, so I don't know if it has to do with that. But yeah, we are going to let's see what he has to say, okay? See ya. Let's go ahead and tune in.
This have not yet matured. In this regard, I would like to ask you, do you give the leaders an important role in resolving this issue? And what conditions should be met so that the leaders can come together and put an end to this conflict? Thank you very much.
As for President Trump's statement, I heard it in a different way. Mr. Mr. Trump said that Putin is not going because I am not going. What is he supposed to do when I am not there? And he is right. In this sense, he is absolutely right. Secondly, he has repeatedly said that if I were president, there would be no war. I think he is right here too. I will tell you why. In one of my last phone conversations with Mr. Biden, I told him that I will not go into details now, of course. We have recorded conversations on this. I told him that there is no need to bring hot conflicts to a head. We need to resolve everything peacefully, and we must force the current leadership of Ukraine to meet the demands of its citizens living in the southeast to put an end to the genocide of the Russian-speaking population, to stop violating human rights, as the previous Human Rights Administration has always said. By the way, I told him then, it seems to you that everything will be resolved so easily now, but it may take some time, and it would be better not to do what you are pushing the situation towards. I told him this, Mr. Biden. Indeed, if Trump had been president, this conflict might not have arisen. I am allowed to say this. As for meetings at the highest level, you know, I was a participant in the talks in Minsk when we were looking for the principles of peaceful settlement, and we talked for 17 hours straight, all night long. Yes, we agreed on these principles, but they were not fulfilled by the Western side. The former chancellor said that it was necessary to win time in order to arm. See, it turned out that our so-called Western partners were not going to do anything. We need to find a solution that would not only put an end to today's conflict, but would create conditions for such situations not to be repeated in the long term. When the conflict had just begun, we persuaded the Ukrainian side to reunite this part of Ukraine that had left the Minsk agreements. You can argue all you want, you see. You can blame Russia for starting the aggression. But listen to me. You do not need to be an expert in the field of public international law in order to understand the logic I am going to tell you about. A part of the territory of one country has decided to separate itself from the rest of Ukraine. This includes the southeast of Ukraine, Donetsk and Lugansk. They have decided to separate. Did they have the right to do so or not? Strictly. The relevant article talks about the right of the nation to self-determination. I think this is the first one. You see, this is the right of the people to self-determination. This is the first one. No, they did not. There is a resolution of the UN International Court, according to which this was a precedent created by Kosovo. The UN International Court directly stated that if a part of the country has decided to separate, it does not have to turn to the central government on this issue. That is it. Donbass is separated. Next. Did we have the right to recognize their independence? We have not recognized them.
I don't understand how, like, to me, it makes no sense how, like, a lot of these people know about me, right? But yet,
For 8 years, you see.
everybody keeps quiet about my
We have
situation.
put up with them for 8 years and tried to reach
That
an
really
agreement.
hurts. It really does.
In the end, they
like
declared
don't,
their independence.
It's like they all feel.
Did we have the
there's no
right
justice
to
for me.
recognize
I
them?
think there's no justice for me. Like,
Why not?
Because not one.
We recognized them.
At all.
Having recognized them, we signed an agreement
Not one
for mutual
person reached out
assistance.
to me regarding the things that I
Could we
did.
have done this? Of course, we could. We did. Within the framework of this agreement,
All this stupid,
which we ratified by the Parliament, we had to provide assistance, including military assistance.
I feel like at this point
They turned to us with this assistance, officially, and we provided this assistance.
Because I feel like they're kind of like a
Tell me, where did I go
in
wrong?
some sense, like they don't know.
At what point did I make a mistake?
But
Well, you simply will not find it.
it's not me.
It is
doing
not
this,
there.
It's God doing this, you know.
Everything flows from one place to another.
I don't.
When I talk
understand
about the
either.
Kosovo precedent,
Don't
I remember
understand
what happened then.
either,
The Western European countries and the United States
why they acted
put
with
quite
me,
serious
why they
pressure
try to
on
act
this
like they don't
UN
know who
court,
I am, when
and it
clearly
made
they
the
don't know.
decision that if a part of the country has decided to separate, it does not have to turn to the central government
But what they
for
need
an
to understand
agreement.
is this.
That is it.
It is
You see, they did everything themselves.
whatever
And then they say, how can you do this?
gonna go accordingly.
Can you do this? Is it not allowed
This
here?
world
It will not be like that.
time is not does not depend on them, you know? It does not. So if they want to have a world to live in, they need to reconsider the way they treat me. They need to reconsider how they reject me, you know, because they're not gonna have a world to live in and to, you know, they might have all these plans, but are they gonna have a world to do that in? Because at this point, like, honestly, I don't know. Like, I just wanted, like, I wouldn't mind if the world destroyed, you know? Get the world over with, let it be destroyed, and just go to heaven. You know? Well, at least I go to heaven. But
Rules must be unified.
you know,
Only then will
seeing
they
all
be
this
stable.
happening is, like, makes me think that.
And this is a guarantee of security for everyone, not at the expense of others.
Yeah.
This is the key thing, the key link.
For me.
So we are ready to meet.
They all ignore me.
By the way, I said that I am ready to meet everyone, including Zelensky.
And they need to understand that.
Yes,
They
this is not the
despise me,
point.
They didn't reject me.
Military
I'm a
situation.
woman? Or is it why? I don't understand.
This is true.
But they think
But nowhere
I
does
am,
it say that the president's power
less capable of doing their job, when in fact I've proven that I could do their
potential
job better
parliamentary republic.
than what they do.
What does this mean? It means that all the authorities are formed by the president, including the democratic society. This is how the state can be arranged.
One world order.
Everyone
I
is
am that
appointed
one
president,
world order.
and all
And either
military
you're with
leaders
me
are appointed.
And, you know, stand with me and, you know, obviously submit and surrender.
President. All ministers
accept
are
what God is
appointed
doing?
president, and all
Or you're
governors
against me.
are
Like, that's
appointed
just it.
president.
You know, either, you know, for those who are with me,
There is no
those who
election,
those who are with me,
but if the
stand
first
with me,
person is illegitimate, the entire system of power becomes illegitimate.
for those who are not,
Why am I saying
those
this?
who stand against me will not stand.
We do not care who is negotiating, even if it is the acting head of the regime.
Either you're with me
I am even ready to meet. But if it is,
or you're not. And if you're not, I consider you my enemy. But I am tired of being rejected, neglected,
and say, throw it all away.
I'm tired of
But this is
everybody
not
acting
possible
like I
because
don't
we are
exist.
solving serious issues.
It's not fair
Therefore,
and it's not
I do
right.
not refuse this, but a lot of work must be done. And finally, the most important thing.
I'm
Well,
not here for
maybe
you
not the
anymore.
most important thing,
It's
but it
already
is
mine.
important. Before the conflict began,
They're the ones that need
we
to
asked the Ukrainian authorities
reconsider
to implement
actions and
all
what
the
they're
Minsk
doing.
agreements.
And understand
They
that none of
refused.
their plans will come to be
Then a special military
unless they
operation
come
began.
unless they run
As
by me
soon as it
first and I prove
began,
them.
we told
Nothing
them,
in this world will come
listen,
to be
let's withdraw our troops from
unless I
Donetsk and
approve it.
Lugansk
And that's what they need to
republics,
understand.
which we recognized as in.
And I will not approve anything that is not according to God. That God does not tell me it's okay for them to do.
Independent states.
So they have to counsel me
And that's
about any
it.
plans they
It
have.
will end
They counsel
tomorrow.
with me, and then
No, we will fight.
I will ask God.
Then some time passed.
Depends on what God says.
I have already said this publicly. One of my Western colleagues asked me, could you imagine that this is the Kherson region? This is
Everybody's plans for this world are up to me. I am the queen. I am one world order.
there. I said, well, we could think about some sovereignty of Ukraine, but with the obligation of servitude, that is, the right of passage on land to Crimea. Why? Because they are constantly threatening to destroy the Crimean Bridge.
That's what it's coming.
This is a simple
You
thing.
guys know that already.
He said,
And I wish we could
can I
just talk
say
about
this
it
in
instead
Kiev?
instead of me having to be like
I
that,
said,
wish we could
yes, you
just
can.
freaking actually talk
He
about
went there and was told that he was an
Obviously, that's not
agent
gonna
of the
that
Kremlin.
hasn't happened because
Well, this is one of the first faces of a well-known state. Well, nonsense.
The longer
They
you keep
simply
prolonging it,
refused.
the more wrath I feel.
I said, well,
and
okay.
the more destruction
We
I
held a
feel.
referendum at the request of the citizens living in this territory, and that's it. Now,
I'm tired
this
of being
is an
put to the side like I don't fucking matter. I'm tired of it. So I'll either do what I say, what I want, make me happy, or every time that I spend unhappy,
about two
the
other
world's gonna have to
regions
pay
of
for
the
it.
Russian
That's
Federation.
it. For every minute that I spend unhappy, there's just more disasters in this world.
And Crimea, of
I'm
course.
tired of it.
Yes, let's
It's not
discuss
need for me
this.
to be like this.
By the way,
It's not fair.
when we negotiated in Istanbul, thank you very much, President
I don't
Erdogan,
negotiate.
in 2022, but it seems strange, but we agreed on everything with him, do you understand? Here is the draft agreement that was prepared. There were issues of demilitarization, as well as issues of
But I am the
territory.
authority. I don't negotiate.
We found such terms that suited both us and Ukraine.
I'll take consideration.
No, then those who now want to increase defense spending in Europe and overseas came and said, no, we need to defeat Russia on the battlefield.
I do not side with
We
anyone.
threw
I do
everything
not
we agreed on
take
into the
sides.
trash, and that's
I am
it,
independent.
and began to achieve this wonderful goal. And now, the situation has changed. And you say, no,
But I don't negotiate.
let's negotiate.
And it's not
Let's do it.
guaranteed.
Let's open these packages and negotiate. But we cannot sit there day and night for a
They
year.
can negotiate with each other.
Therefore, we are
I'll break
ready.
it to you.
These negotiations continue. Now, on the humanitarian track in general, the situation is such that these negotiations make sense.
Not without me. Everything you do aside from me is
Now,
not happening.
on the humanitarian track in general, the situation is such that these negotiations make sense. We have already agreed to exchange prisoners for 200, and we are returning people. This is good. We have already given 500 people and received 400 back. I think everything will be fair here. We will get everyone we have to get. Unfortunately, it is sad, and it is difficult. 57.
It's telling me that. Seriously, that's not freaking fair. It's not right. It's not happening. Dang. It's crazy. I'm tired of this. Even if what you mean by patience, God, is just to wait for all of it to go down to nothing.
But we are ready to negotiate substantively on the principles and regulations, but the Ukrainian side should also be ready for this.
I don't know if you saying be patient or just people.
Its Western sponsors and so-called allies did not push for the fight against the last Ukrainian, but pointed to the realities of today and pushed for agreements, not for the continuation of hostilities.
How much unfairness,
That is all.
mistreatment do I have to disrespect?
We are in contact. Our negotiating group is in contact with each other.
That I'm worthy of any type of
I just asked
acknowledgement.
Medensky. He said he had just spoken to
Everything's gonna go
Medensky.
down.
He said he had just spoken to his counterpart from Kiev
I'm
today.
not begging anyone for shit. It's all mine,
In principle,
and it's not fair. And the fact that y'all
they
are
agreed to
doing
meet
this and
after
not
the
one has
22nd of July.
You're the ones running out of time.
But I must say,
Very soon, it's gonna come to a point in a time where
however,
you might come
as
with
Mr. Trump, the President of the United States, should say he is also, in my opinion, sincerely striving for settlement.
So you're trying to avoid it. You're basically opposing it.
We are constantly in contact with them on this issue. They are also very concerned about this.
Or
When I meet with the leaders of these countries, almost all our conversations start with this, and I tell them about it. And we are grateful to them for thinking about it and looking for a solution to this conflict. Believe me, we also want to complete it as soon as possible, and even better, in a peaceful way, if we can agree.
If tomorrow Israel, with the help of the United States or without the help of the United States, simply conquers Khamenei, what will be your reaction and the reaction of Russia and your first actions? This is the first part of the question.
I already told you because I say they're not.
Mr. Talby, if you allow me, I hope that this will be the right answer to your question. I do not even want to discuss such an opportunity. I do not want to.
Well, they are already discussing it most openly, Mr.
Nothing will be without
This,
asking.
but I do
me
not
first.
even want to discuss it.
You should be asking me those questions.
The second part of my question
Yeah, I'm tired of it. I'm tired of these people thinking that they can
is
do this.
also
It's
about
crazy.
Iran.
They think they're gonna have a world to do all this in. Oh my god, are you kidding me?
There's an agreement on a strategic partnership between Russia and Iran. It does not provide protection for Iran from Russia, but there is a question of weapons. Given the current situation and the sharpness of the situation, are you ready to provide new types of weapons for Iran so that it can protect itself from Israel's strikes?
I don't want to live in this stupid world.
You know, we once offered our Iranian friends to work in the field of the air defense system. Well, the partners did not show much interest then, and that is all. As for the agreement that you mentioned about a strategic partnership, there are no articles related to the defense sphere. This is the second point. And the third point is that our Iranian friends do not ask us to do so. So there is practically nothing to discuss.
That's what the fuck I get.
If I'm not mistaken, you have a modified S-300 and a modified S-200, so Russia played a role in protecting Iran in terms of air defense.
You know, this is not quite the case. Because our offer is to create a system, not a separate supply, but a system. As a result, we once discussed this, but the Iranian side did not show much interest in this, and that is all. As for separate supplies, yes, of course, we carried out these supplies at one time. This has nothing to do with the current crisis. It was a so-called regular cooperation in the military technical sphere. Moreover, in terms of international norms, Iran did not ask us to violate the well-known norms signed by the Russian Federation. We did not do anything. We have always remained within the framework of a normative international normative base. Anything else?
Thank you, Mr. Guzman, for the introduction. Thank you, Mr. President, for the opportunity to ask these questions directly to you. I highly appreciate it. As far as the confrontation between Iran and Israel is concerned, since June 13th, the Russian Ministry of Foreign Affairs has condemned the Israeli strikes on Iran. It was said that they were not provoked. These are military strikes against a sovereign member of the UN, against its citizens, peaceful cities, and critical infrastructure. This is absolutely unacceptable. It was said by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. In relation to Russia's continued aggression in Ukraine yesterday, 28 civilians were killed in Kiev.
And it's not ending.
Our journalists saw how a Russian missile destroyed an entire city block.
I'm not with Israel
How do those positions reconcile themselves?
because they are not with me.
Do you have any plans to meet President Trump or maybe to have a telephone conversation with him?
Nation against nation.
As for our actions in Ukraine, I have just told your colleague from Turkey in sufficient detail,
Submit and surrender. I mean,
answering his question.
to me.
Therefore, I think it would be pointless to repeat it.
Any longer.
We believe that we did not start military actions in Ukraine, but we are trying to end them. The current Ukrainian leadership started the war on its own territory after the coup that took place in Kiev, using armed forces against the peaceful population of the southeast, then the southeast of Ukraine, against Donbass, Lugansk, and Donetsk, including heavy equipment and aviation.
Chaos.
They attacked the residential areas. For some reason, no one wants to remember this today, but it was this policy that led to the current armed conflict between Russia and Ukraine. This is the first point. The second point is that if your journalists had seen how our missiles destroyed entire residential areas, they would hardly have been able to say anything to you about it. They would not have survived. If they had seen something, they would have seen it from the outside.
Don't miss, what's it? I'm not gonna say I'm so freaking tired.
Militarize Ukraine, that is, to deprive it of its capabilities and to have armed forces that threaten us. To do this, we must either reach an agreement with them, and we agreed on this during the Istanbul agreements in 2020. We also agreed on the size of the armed forces that Ukraine might have. We agreed on the number of armies. We agreed on everything.
They're all looking for dead, basically.
But then, thanks to the efforts of the Western allies of Ukraine, they threw these agreements into the trash, as I said, and decided to fight us to the last Ukrainian and to a complete strategic victory.
With how I feel.
This is not possible. Therefore, instead of peaceful agreements, we are forced to achieve this goal with the help of the armed forces, namely demilitarization. We will not allow Ukraine to have armed forces that threaten the Russian Federation and its people. Your journalists have seen these blows. And of course, if we do not reach an agreement peacefully, we will achieve our military goals. Therefore, there is nothing unusual. and it refers to international law. As for our actions in Ukraine and our agreement with international law, I have just told you our logic. From one step to the next, we believe that this completely complies with the UN Charter. As for the Foreign Ministry's assessment, well, this is our Foreign Ministry.
And it's not fucking fair.
Well, you can see for yourself how objective it is in your opinion and what it has in mind. I did not notice anything in your mind.
Every day I'm fucking
In this
going without anything while they all try to use what I have. It's not fucking
regard,
fair.
I hope I have satisfied
They all try to use what I have. And yet,
you and answered your
not
question.
anymore. 'Cause it's
As for possible meetings with Mr. Trump, well,
so
it would certainly be highly useful. I agree with the President of the United States. It should, of course, be prepared and end with some positive results. The track is a good choice. We have spoken on the phone with President Trump several times. We have great respect for his intention to restore relations with Russia in many areas, including security and economic activity. Look, our import to the United States has decreased by 10 times, and by 4.5 times our import from the United States to Russia has decreased. The truth is that it was small, it was $27 billion, and now it has dropped by several dollars.
You see what I'm just saying.
But the truth is that over the past year, the volume of goods in circulation has increased with the United
Submit
States.
and surrender to me.
It has fallen with many European countries, but it has increased with the United States.
Everything will go. Everything will
Therefore,
continue to be.
you know, I hope that Mr. Trump is not only a politician and not only a man whom the American people have entrusted with the fate of their country, he is also a businessman.
All you leaders.
And I see a big advantage in the fact that he thinks everything through. Since he has become a rich man,
I'm tired of it.
he probably thinks it is
You all have
good.
until tomorrow. If not, you will have no government.
He thinks about
Tomorrow
what
is your
those
deadline.
or other
You will have
steps
no
will
government,
lead
you
to
will
in
have no
relation
country
to
govern.
Russia, how much it will work.
But you will see it all be destroyed.
All in all, this instills a certain restraint and optimism.
If you don't
And I hope
contact me,
that both the President of the United States and his immediate circle will see and hear this. And together with business representatives,
or
decisions will be made
be ready to fix what I
aimed
said.
at restoring
then-
Russian-American relations.
Tito's.
In addition, we have contacts with Mr. Rubio, the Secretary of State, and Mr. Lentz, the Vice President. In general, gradually, relations are being established and